What's up guys, welcome to Munchkins Gaming, where we take your gaming to the next level. This is Munchkins logging in to bring you another Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia video, and welcome back to another video guide. In today's video we are going to take a look at Kain'S Intersecting Will's Lufenia Plus fight. So before we do start, like and subscribe if you haven't already, because it does help the channel guys and I would really appreciate it. And now without further ado, let's start this video. Alright guys, so we'll start this off as always on how you're gonna deal with this Lufenia orb, which starts when the boss's HP reaches less than 80% and will not disappear from there on. You get 2 Lufenia orb counter when the player deals a range brave damage. Now you get another +2 if that range brave damage is at least 500,000 overall. And this has to be only in one turn with one character. Now, there's not really a whole lot of character that can meet the second requirement. However, the first one is pretty easy to meet. You do have Kain, Aranea, Prompto, Tidus, and even Yuffie, who can do a decent amount of range brave damage. So for this one, I would suggest just try to meet the first Lufenia orb rather than try to meet the second one, because that is pretty much going to be enough, especially if you are using Kain or Prompto. Alright guys, now let's move on how this fight works. Let's talk about the recast ability first, which basically will dispel one of your buff on all your party. So basically one buff per character. It will follow it up with a brave gain and an AoE and HP attack. This will ignore all those HP damage mitigation, and it is going to be a guaranteed hit and will inflict 1 stack of Senti Poison. It will also cleanse all its debuff if the Senti Poison is at 3 stacks. Now, normally the buff that it will remove is going to be the leftmost buff, so keep an eye out on all your buffs. Now, Senti Poison is going to be an HP poison effect, which will be 5, 25 to up to 50% of your max HP. Now, when its HP reaches less than 80 and 20%, it will get a massive brave gain. Consequently, when it's less than 80 and 50%, it will delay itself by 2 turns. And it will gain a high magic resistance and will follow this up with a Reaper Plus ability. Now, you can tell that it will have a high magic resist when it has that blue aura. Now, when it reaches less than 60 and 20%, it will delay it again by 2 turns and will follow it up with Tail Cutter or Tail Cutter Plus. Now, depending if it is broken or not. If it is broken, it will use the non-plus variant, and if it is not, it will use the plus variant. The plus variant is kind of dangerous. It will remove your buffs and will follow it up with an HP attack as well. Now, the final thing that I really need to tell you guys is the boss is weak to range physical attacks and the ice and holy elements. However, it will absorb the earth element. So, how are you going to deal with this fight? Well, first of all, turn manipulation is a thing. Delay is another thing you can use. Basically, the idea here is trying to get out of the recast ability in some sense, right? Because you don't really want that. And of course, you can always prevent debuffs or lower the chance of debuffs or removing the debuffs themselves. There are quite a few characters like Balthier, who is also a range damaging character. Yuffie, unfortunately the boss is going to be immune to the Senti Poison. This cannot be I suppose cheesed. Setzer is another good option if you don't want to get hit by a lot of HP damage. Obviously, he is a valuable character up to this point. Still, he is one of the best characters to bring. Alright guys, now let's talk about characters that you might want to bring for this one. And like I said, there are a ton of characters that you can bring now. I would highly suggest just bring some ranged characters, and you can also bring like characters that can remove debuffs such as Yuna, and like I said, Balthier kind of fits in a good role here, as well as Yuffie, who can remove all those debuffs that you don't want. Now as for call characters though, I think just going with the Yuge is okay. Kurosame obviously gives you Ice Elemental party buff, right? And that is a weakness of the boss. You've got a Medallion if you want to delete turns, go Bronze if you want more extra HP damage. There's quite a lot of options in this particular one. The only thing that I would suggest is obviously don't use any Earth Elemental characters, which there's really not a lot of those. So you're kind of safe here, but I say go with the Yuge and you should be fine. Alright guys, now let's take a look at some party compositions that I would recommend. Now when this came out originally in JP, I had Jet, Yuffie, and Prompto. Basically Yuffie and Prompto filling in those roles that because I didn't have Balthier at that point with his LD, and I'm pretty sure he came out before this, but I still don't have his LD at this point. So Yuffie was my choice basically to remove those debuffs. Prompto is actually a really good range brave damage dealing character here, and like I said, with his counters or follow-ups, whatever you want to call it, it definitely adds up and increases the Lufenia orb. Now, unfortunately, I can't remember on top of my head what my call team was. I went to my old tweet and I didn't really put any of my call team, but I'm guessing it's somewhere along the lines of Kurosame, Gabranth, and Iroha. The support I had was Setzer and my summon was Shiva. Now the next team I have for you is going to be Kain, Auron, and Setzer. Now, with Setzer's buff, Kain is basically a god in terms of damage, maxing out each and every turn, maxing out. And get this, I mean, he delays himself so far that buff pretty much remains most of the time. I have Kurosame, Yuna, and Jack for the call for this one, and Shiva for the summon. Now the last team I have for you guys is going to consist of Cloud of Darkness, Tidus, and Bartz, with a call team of Kate, Sith, Kurosame, and Jack, and Kain will have to be your support, since Tidus isn't just enough for the Lufenia orbs for you to manage it well with Tidus by himself. You can, however, make sure you hit that 500k range break damage with Tidus's BT effect. But if you don't have it, just try and rely on Kain, and Cloud of Darkness plus Kain off turn damage is crazy good. Summon, I went with Shiva for this one, since I think Shiva is the best summon, period. I think maybe Odin is another good one, but Shiva, I like Shiva the best, and that's just my biased opinion. Alright guys, so we're finally at the end of this video, and of course I'll give you guys my final thoughts regarding this fight. Overall, this fight I didn't really find that hard. If I remember correctly in JP, I just didn't really have that much trouble with it, even without relying on Kain and kind of just relying on Yuffie for, you know, the range brave damage, plus getting rid of the debuffs themselves. Prompto, obviously a very good choice in this particular fight. Like I said, that follow-up / off-turn damage counter, I can't remember on top of my head now. I haven't used him in a very long time, but if you do have his LD, he is really good. And yeah, I just feel like this fight isn't all that hard. Anyway, you might have noticed that I am using a JP video. I've recorded this obviously on my JP account, and this is obviously a newer version of the game, and you kind of see that the Lufenia fight or Lufenia Plus fight doesn't look imposing, and I'll be honest with you, it's not imposing right now in the JP version of the game. And unfortunately, like, if you haven't followed me on Twitter, I pretty much am dropping the global version of the game, and you will just see a lot of video footage that I will record in the JP version. Now, as for events that are obviously exclusive to global or that have passed JP and I didn't record it, and that's a lot of events, I will probably just do like a normal, you know, say maybe I'll use a latest video or whatever, or I will just be, it'll just be a wall of text. I'm sorry, but the way it is right now, I rather just play something else than replay the entire thing. And I've been thinking about this for probably for about half a year now of dropping global. I just didn't feel like it, that I felt like I needed to make a video with the global version. But right now with Final Fantasy 14 going to be taking a lot of my time, and it is taking a lot of my time to go through, I rather just not, you know, do the same thing over again, which I've already done in JP, and use that time for something else. And this is going to be what's going to be happening moving forward. And I still have a lot of resources on my global account, to be honest with you, so there is a chance that I might come back, but honestly, I am enjoying the JP version more than the global version of the game, even with the little you know, things here and there that the global version adds. I just feel like the JP version is a far superior version of the game, and that's just my opinion. If you're enjoying global, go for it. And like I said, the videos are still going to come up. It's not going anywhere. The only thing is, obviously, I might not have any video proof that I beaten it, but trust me, I've beaten everything in JP from this point forward. I haven't had any events that I did not clear, and honestly, it's been a while. I've been clearing all these stuff, you know, way back in JP. And yeah, anyway guys, that is it for this video. Please do remember to click like and subscribe if you haven't already. It does help the channel, and I really do appreciate it. If you share this video as well to other DFFO players who are struggling to beat their first Lufenia or Lufenia Plus fight, and hopefully this video helps them, and they can share this video to other players as well. You can follow me on Twitter and on Facebook at Munchkins Gaming. Leave down in the comments below what you think of this fight, your team, and what do you think about, you know, just me dropping global, if that's okay with you. Hopefully it is. I mean, I do have the experience to talk about this stuff from the JP version of the game. Unfortunately, one other thing is, if there are, you know, exclusive events for global only, I won't be able to make videos for those. I'm really sorry, but that's just the way it is. Work plus all these other good games coming out, I just don't have the time. Anyway guys, that is it for me. This is Munchkins logging off. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next level.